Have you ever walked into a room and noticed someone looking at you only to quickly look away when you caught their eye? Have you dismissed compliments thinking people were just being polite? What if I told you that the very things you consider ordinary about yourself are actually magnetic qualities that others find absolutely captivating? Here's the truth that society doesn't want you to know. As a woman who has lived, loved, learned, and evolved through the seasons of life, you possess a level of attractiveness that goes far beyond what any mirror could ever reflect. And the most fascinating part? You probably have no idea just how powerful your presence really is. Welcome back to the Heart Code, where we decode the mysteries of attraction, relationships, and the incredible power that comes with age and wisdom. I'm so grateful you're here today, because we're about to embark on a journey that might completely transform the way you see yourself. If you're a woman who has celebrated more than a few decades on this planet, who has weathered storms and basked in sunshine, who has looked at her reflection and wondered if her best days are behind her, then this video is especially for you. Before we dive deep into these 10 remarkable signs, I want to ask you for a small favor. If you find value in what we discussed today, if even one insight resonates with your soul, please take a moment to hit that like button. It truly helps this message reach more women who need to hear it. And don't just watch and disappear. I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below sharing which sign resonates with you most, or tell me about a moment when you realized your own attractiveness. Your experience might be exactly what another woman needs to read today. And if you believe your friends, your sisters, your mother, or your daughters could benefit from this message, please share this video with them. Together, we're building a community of empowered women who recognize their worth. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed to the Heart Code, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our weekly insights into attraction, relationships, and personal power. For those of you who want to go the extra mile in supporting this channel and helping us create more content like this, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution directly fuels our mission to empower women everywhere. Now, let's get into these 10 powerful signs that prove you're far more attractive than you think. Sign 1. People genuinely seek your company and opinion. Let me paint a picture for you. You're at a family gathering, a work event, or perhaps a casual coffee meeting with friends. You notice something interesting. People gravitate toward you, not in a loud, obvious way, but in a subtle magnetic pull. When decisions need to be made, eyes turn to you. When conversations hit a lull, someone asks, "What do you think?" When problems arise, your phone lights up with messages asking for advice. You might brush this off as coincidence or obligation, but here's what's really happening. You've become a person of substance, and substance is incredibly attractive. You see, when you were younger, attraction might have been about the curve of your smile or the shine of your hair. And while physical beauty is wonderful, there's something that happens as a woman matures that creates an entirely different kind of magnetism. You develop what I call gravitational presence. This is the invisible force that draws people into your orbit, not because of what you look like, but because of who you are. Think about the most attractive people you know. I'm not talking about the ones who turn heads on the street. I'm talking about the ones who fill a room with their presence, who make others feel seen and heard, who carry wisdom in their words and compassion in their actions. That's the attraction we're discussing here, and if people consistently seek you out, you possess it in abundance. But why does this happen more as women age? The answer lies in something psychologists call crystallized intelligence. While fluid intelligence, the ability to solve new problems, may peak earlier in life, crystallized intelligence, the accumulated knowledge and wisdom from experience, continues to grow. You've lived through situations that textbooks can't teach. You've navigated complex relationship dynamics, professional challenges, personal losses, and triumphant victories. All of this creates a depth that people find not just attractive, but essential. When someone seeks your opinion, they're not just asking for information. They're tapping into your lived experience. They're drawing from the well of your accumulated wisdom. They're seeking the perspective that can only come from someone who has seen enough of life to understand its nuances. This is not something that can be faked or manufactured. It's earned through years of paying attention, of learning from mistakes, of choosing growth over comfort. Moreover, there's an emotional intelligence that tends to deepen with age. You've learned to read between the lines of what people say. You can sense the unspoken needs in a room. You understand that sometimes people don't need solutions, they need validation. Sometimes they don't need advice, they need accompaniment. This emotional sophistication makes you someone people feel safe around, someone they trust with their vulnerabilities. And trust, my dear viewer, is the foundation of all genuine attraction. Consider also the quality of your listening. Younger people often listen with the intent to respond. They're thinking about what they'll say next, how they'll contribute to the conversation, how they'll be perceived. But you've learned to listen with the intent to understand. You give people the gift of your full presence. You don't interrupt with your own stories. You don't minimize their feelings. You create space for others to be fully themselves. This kind of attentive presence is magnetic in a world where everyone is constantly distracted. There's also something to be said about the authenticity you bring to interactions. You're less likely to pretend to know something you don't. You're comfortable saying, "I'm not sure," or "tell me more about that." This intellectual honesty is refreshing and attractive. People are tired of conversing with individuals who need to be the smartest person in the room. They're drawn to those who are secure enough to be learners, curious enough to ask questions, and wise enough to know that true intelligence includes acknowledging what you don't know. And let's talk about the advice you give. It's not generic. It's not pulled from some self-help book you skimmed. It's seasoned with your own experiences, tempered by your mistakes, and enriched by your victories. When you tell someone, "I understand what you're going through," you actually do. When you say, "This too shall pass," it's not a platitude. It's a promise you can make because you've witnessed it yourself. This authenticity makes your words carry weight. If you find yourself being the person others turn to, the one whose perspective is valued, the one whose company is actively sought, don't diminish this. Don't tell yourself people are just being nice or they have no one else to ask. Recognize this for what it truly is, evidence of an attractiveness that goes soul deep. You've become someone who adds value to others' lives simply by being present. That's not just attractive, that's powerful. Sign 2. You notice more genuine smiles and warm greetings. Here's a subtle but significant indicator that you're more attractive than you realize. People light up when they see you. Not with the polite smile we give strangers, but with genuine warmth. Their eyes crinkle at the corners. Their face softens. There's a moment of real joy in their recognition of you. You might think this is just friendliness, but I want you to understand the deeper psychology at work here. The human brain is extraordinarily efficient at making snap judgments about people. Within milliseconds of seeing someone, we've already made determinations about their trustworthiness, competence, and approachability. These judgments are based on countless tiny details, most of which we process unconsciously. When someone's face genuinely brightens upon seeing you, their brain has processed all those microsignals and concluded this person is safe, valuable, and worth engaging with. That's an attraction response. What makes this particularly meaningful for mature women is that you're likely triggering what psychologists call approach motivation rather than avoidance motivation. When people feel drawn toward you rather than neutral or repelled by you, it speaks to qualities you're emanating, often without conscious effort. These qualities include warmth, openness, stability, and positive energy. All of these become more refined and authentic as women age and grow into themselves. Think about the last time you went to your regular coffee shop, your workplace, your neighborhood grocery store, or any place where people know you. Did the barista's face change when she saw you? Did your colleague seem genuinely pleased to run into you? Did the cashier engage in actual conversation rather than robotic pleasantries? These aren't random occurrences. They're reflections of the positive impact you have on others. There's a concept in social psychology called emotional contagion, which refers to the phenomenon where emotions transfer from person to person. If you're someone who carries inner peace, contentment, or joy, people will unconsciously absorb and reflect that back to you. The warm greetings you receive aren't just about you. They're about how you make others feel. And making people feel good is one of the most attractive qualities a human being can possess. As women mature, many develop what I call an emotional steadiness that's incredibly appealing. You're less likely to be in drama. You're less likely to be emotionally volatile or unpredictable. People know that when they interact with you, they'll encounter someone centered and genuine. This reliability creates a sense of comfort and safety that draws people in. When someone greets you warmly, they're not just saying hello. They're acknowledging the positive, stable presence you bring into their space. Consider also the quality of your energy. By this stage in life, you've likely learned to manage your emotional energy better. You're not scattering yourself in 1,000 directions. You're not desperately seeking validation from every interaction. You're not performing or pretending. This centered energy is palpable, and it makes people feel more grounded just being around you. Their warm greetings are a response to this subtle but powerful gift you give simply by being authentically yourself. There's also the factor of your accumulated social skills. You've had decades to observe human behavior, to learn what makes people feel valued, to understand the art of genuine connection. You know how to ask the right questions. You remember details about people's lives. You follow up on things they've mentioned before. This attentiveness makes people feel seen and important. When they greet you warmly, they're reciprocating the care you've shown them. Moreover, mature women often possess a quality of non-judgment that younger people are still developing. You've lived long enough to know that everyone is fighting battles others can't see. You've made enough mistakes to have compassion for others' imperfections. You've experienced enough life to understand that people are complex and that judging them based on surface observations is foolish. This non-judgmental presence creates a space where people can relax and be themselves. They greet you warmly because being around you feels like a respite from a world that's constantly evaluating and criticizing them. Let's also acknowledge the role of your smile. Not the forced smile you might have felt obligated to wear when you were younger, trying to be pleasing or agreeable. I'm talking about the smile that comes from genuine contentment, from having made peace with yourself and your life. This smile reaches your eyes. It's not trying to hide anything or compensate for insecurity. It's just real. And real is magnetic. When you smile genuinely, people's brains release oxytocin, the bonding hormone. They associate you with good feelings. So naturally, when they see you, they smile back, creating a beautiful cycle of positive connection. And here's something many women don't realize. Your beauty has evolved into something more sustainable and authentic. The conventional attractiveness of youth is often about perfection, symmetry, and following beauty standards. But the attractiveness of a woman who has lived is about character. It's in the laugh lines that prove you've experienced joy. It's in the way you carry yourself with earned confidence rather than borrowed bravado. It's in the peace that shows in your face when you've learned to stop fighting yourself. People respond to this authenticity with genuine warmth because it's so rare and refreshing in a world full of filters and facades. If people consistently greet you with real warmth, with smiles that light up their entire faces, with genuine enthusiasm to see you, pay attention to this. It's not happening by accident. It's happening because you've become someone who enriches others' lives. You've become someone who radiates the kind of positive, authentic, grounded energy that humans are naturally drawn to. That's not just social niceness. That's recognition of your inherent attractiveness as a complete, evolved human being. Sign 3. Younger people seek your friendship and mentorship. This one might surprise you, but it's one of the most powerful indicators of your attractiveness as a mature woman. If you find younger people, perhaps colleagues in their 20s or 30s, friends, children, or even strangers, actively seeking to spend time with you, wanting your advice, or attempting to build genuine friendships with you, this is profound evidence of your attractive qualities. Why? Because younger people are typically drawn to their peers. They usually seek friendship within their own age groups. But when a younger person consistently chooses to spend time with someone who could be their mother or even grandmother, something exceptional is happening. They're seeing qualities in you that they value, aspire to, or simply enjoy being around. This cross-generational attraction is based purely on who you are as a person, stripped of any superficial factors. Let's dig deeper into what drives this phenomenon. Young people today are navigating a world of unprecedented complexity. They're dealing with information overload, social media pressure, economic uncertainty, and a cultural landscape that changes faster than they can adapt. In this chaos, they're often searching for anchors, for people who have successfully navigated life's challenges and emerged with their humanity intact. When they find this in you, they're drawn to you like someone lost at sea is drawn to a lighthouse. You represent something they desperately need, but rarely find in their peer group: perspective. You've seen trends come and go. You've experienced the full cycle of relationships, from infatuation to deep love to sometimes loss and renewal. You've built and possibly rebuilt careers. You've weathered financial storms. You've faced fears and survived what you thought might break you. This lived experience is invaluable, and smart young people recognize this. But here's what makes you particularly attractive to younger generations. You offer this wisdom without the condescension that sometimes comes from older people. You're not lecturing them about back in my day or dismissing their challenges as trivial. You understand that while some aspects of human experience are timeless, other aspects are genuinely different for them. You hold space for both continuity and change. You validate their struggles while offering hope based on your own journey. This balanced approach makes you an ideal mentor and friend. There's also the factor of emotional safety. Many young people find their peer relationships fraught with competition and judgment. Everyone is trying to present their best self on social media, to achieve more, to appear successful and happy. It's exhausting. When they're with you, they can drop this performance. You've already achieved and survived so much that you're not competing with them. You're not judging them against impossible standards. You're simply accepting them as they are, offering guidance when asked, and providing a space where they can be authentic. This emotional refuge is incredibly attractive. Consider, too, the quality of presence you offer. In a world where everyone is constantly distracted by devices, you've likely learned to be more present. When a young person talks to you, you're actually listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak or checking your phone every few seconds. This undivided attention is something they rarely receive from their peers, and it makes them feel valued and important. Being made to feel important is one of the core human needs, and you're fulfilling it in a way that few others do. Your confidence also plays a role here. not the bravado of someone trying to prove themselves, but the quiet confidence of someone who knows who they are. You're comfortable in your own skin. You don't need external validation to feel worthwhile. You've made mistakes and survived them. You've had successes without letting them define you. This self-assurance is magnetic, especially to younger people who are still figuring out their identity and often feel insecure about who they are and where they're going. Moreover, you likely have interesting stories and perspectives that come from having lived in a different era. You remember a world before the internet, before smartphones, before social media. You can offer context about how societies and cultures evolve. You might have traveled, pursued various interests, had diverse life experiences. These stories aren't just entertaining. They expand younger people's understanding of what's possible in a life. They see in you a living example that life doesn't end at 30 or 40 or 50, that every decade brings new adventures and possibilities. There's also something about the way mature women often communicate that younger people find refreshing. You're more likely to say what you mean directly. You've outgrown the need to play games or speak in hints and codes. If you care about someone, you show it. If something bothers you, you address it. If you're proud of someone, you tell them. This emotional directness creates clear, honest relationships that young people often crave but rarely find. And let's acknowledge the nurturing aspect. This doesn't mean you're mothering them, which would be condescending, but you likely have a natural capacity to care about others' well-being that has deepened with age. You celebrate their victories genuinely. You comfort them in defeats without making them feel weak. You encourage their dreams while also offering practical wisdom about pursuing them. This balanced support is rare and valuable. If younger people are actively choosing to be in your life, asking you questions, seeking your company, inviting you to events, or considering you a friend rather than just a respected elder, recognize this for what it is. They're seeing qualities in you that go far beyond age or appearance. They're seeing wisdom, authenticity, emotional stability, genuine care, interesting experiences, and a way of being in the world that they find attractive and aspirational. This is one of the purest forms of attractiveness because it's based entirely on character and substance. Sign 4. You receive compliments on your energy and presence. Pay attention to the compliments you receive. If people frequently comment on your energy, your presence, your aura, or the way you make them feel rather than just your physical appearance, this is a significant sign of deep attractiveness. Comments like, "You have such positive energy," "I always feel better after talking to you," "There's something about you that's so calming," or "You just have this presence that lights up a room," are not throwaway compliments. They're observations about a magnetism that transcends the physical. This type of attractiveness is particularly powerful because it affects everyone around you, not just those who might be attracted to you romantically or physically. Children feel it, elderly people feel it, animals feel it. It's a universal appeal that speaks to something fundamental in human connection. Let me explain what's actually happening when people comment on your energy or presence. Human beings are far more perceptive than we often realize. We constantly pick up on subtle cues, body language, micro-expressions, tone of voice, energy levels, emotional states. We process thousands of these signals unconsciously and form impressions based on them. When someone tells you that you have great energy, they're responding to a constellation of positive signals you're sending out. These signals might include your open body posture, which suggests approachability and confidence. They might include your facial expressions, which reflect inner contentment or genuine warmth. They might include your vocal tone, which carries calm authority or playful enthusiasm. They might include your energetic state, which demonstrates vitality and engagement with life. All of these elements combine to create what people perceive as your energy or presence. As women age and grow into themselves, many develop a quality that psychologists call congruence. This means there's alignment between who you are inside and how you present yourself to the world. You're not performing a role or wearing a mask. You're not pretending to feel things you don't feel. You're not hiding your true self behind a carefully constructed persona. This authenticity creates an energetic clarity that people find incredibly attractive because it's so rare. Think about someone you know who seems exhausting to be around. Often these are people who are constantly managing impressions, trying to control how others perceive them, hiding aspects of themselves they think are unacceptable. This requires enormous energy and creates a subtle tension that others can feel. Now contrast this with someone who is simply comfortably themselves. Being around them feels easy. You can relax. You don't have to decode hidden meanings or navigate complicated emotional undercurrents. This ease is what people experience in your presence, and they find it deeply attractive. Your energy also reflects your relationship with yourself. If you've done the inner work of self-acceptance, if you've made peace with your past, if you've forgiven yourself for your mistakes, if you've learned to appreciate rather than criticize yourself, this inner harmony radiates outward. People feel it even if they can't articulate what they're feeling. They just know that being around you feels good. Your self-acceptance gives them permission to accept themselves. Your self-compassion models a way of being that they aspire to. Moreover, mature women often have what I call energetic generosity. You've accumulated enough life experience to feel secure. You don't need to hoard compliments or attention. You don't need to be the center of every conversation. You're genuinely happy to shine a light on others, to celebrate their achievements, to let them have their moment. This generosity of spirit is magnetic because it makes people feel valued and important. When they comment on your positive energy, they're often responding to the fact that you make them feel good about themselves. There's also the factor of resilience that shows in your energy. You've been through difficult times and survived them. You've faced losses and continued living. You've encountered setbacks and found ways forward. This resilience creates a kind of groundedness that people find reassuring. Your energy doesn't fluctuate wildly with every circumstance. You're not devastated by minor inconveniences. You maintain a steady, positive presence even when things are challenging. This stability is incredibly attractive in an unstable world. Consider also the intentionality with which you likely move through the world now. You've learned what drains you and what energizes you. You've learned to protect your peace. You've learned to say no to things that don't serve you. You've learned to invest your time and energy in what truly matters. This intentionality creates a focused, purposeful energy that others find compelling. You're not scattered or frantic, you're present and deliberate. This centered quality draws people to you. And let's talk about the spiritual dimension of presence. I'm not necessarily talking about religious spirituality, though it might include that. I'm talking about a quality of depth, a sense that you're connected to something larger than your individual ego and concerns. Maybe this comes from time spent in nature. Maybe it comes from creative pursuits. Maybe it comes from meditation or contemplation. Maybe it simply comes from having lived long enough to recognize the patterns and mysteries of existence. Whatever the source, this spiritual depth creates a presence that people find nourishing. They might not understand why, but they feel enriched by being around you. Your presence is also likely characterized by a quality of acceptance. You've learned that you can't control everything. You've learned that people are who they are, and trying to change them is futile. You've learned that life unfolds in its own way, often regardless of your plans. This acceptance doesn't mean passivity, it means wisdom. It means knowing when to act and when to allow. It means holding space for reality as it is, rather than constantly fighting for reality as you wish it would be. This quality of acceptance creates an energetic ease that people find deeply attractive because it offers relief from the constant struggle most people live in. If people regularly comment on your energy, your presence, your aura, or how you make them feel, understand that they're recognizing something profound. They're seeing and feeling a level of attractiveness that has nothing to do with conventional beauty standards and everything to do with who you've become as a complete, evolved human being. This is the kind of attractiveness that doesn't fade with age. In fact, it deepens and becomes more pronounced. Own it, recognize it. Let it be a source of confidence and power as you move through the world. Sign 5. You're comfortable in your own skin. Here's a truth that might seem paradoxical. One of the most attractive things about you is that you no longer care as much about being attractive in the conventional sense. You've reached a point where you're comfortable in your own skin. You dress for yourself, not for validation. You pursue interests that genuinely fascinate you, not ones that will impress others. You speak your mind without constantly calculating how you'll be perceived. This comfort with yourself is magnetic in ways that deliberate attempts to be attractive never could be. Let me explain why this matters so much. Think about the energy of someone who is constantly seeking approval. Every outfit is chosen to generate compliments. Every opinion is filtered through, will this make me seem smart? Every story is told with an eye toward making themselves look good. Every interaction is a performance designed to elicit a specific response. Being around this person is exhausting because you can feel the need radiating from them. You can sense their hunger for validation. And ironically, this desperate attempt to be liked often pushes people away. Now contrast this with someone who is simply comfortable being themselves. They wear what makes them feel good. They share opinions they genuinely hold. They tell stories because the stories are interesting, not to prove anything about themselves. They interact authentically without constantly monitoring the impression they're making. Being around this person is refreshing and relaxing. You don't have to work to feed their ego or reassure their insecurities. You can just be yourself too. This mutual authenticity creates real connection, and real connection is the basis of true attraction. As a woman who has lived several decades, you've likely arrived at this place of self-comfort through a journey that included doubt, insecurity, trying to be who you thought you should be, and eventually realizing that authenticity is far more sustainable than performance. You've learned that not everyone will like you, and that's okay. You've learned that trying to be all things to all people is impossible and exhausting. You've learned that the people worth having in your life will appreciate you for who you actually are, not for who you pretend to be. This self-comfort shows in countless subtle ways. It shows in how you carry yourself. You're not slouching with insecurity or puffing yourself up with false bravado. You're just present. You occupy your space without apology or pretension. You move through the world with a natural ease that comes from not constantly second-guessing yourself. It shows in your style choices. You've developed your own aesthetic rather than blindly following trends. You wear colors that make you feel alive, even if they're not your colors, according to some style guide. You choose comfort over suffering, which means you're not constantly adjusting uncomfortable clothing or hobbling in painful shoes. You've learned to dress in ways that express your personality and honor your body, and this authenticity is far more attractive than perfectly following fashion rules. It shows in your conversations. You're willing to admit when you don't know something. You're comfortable with silence. You don't feel the need to fill every pause with chatter. You can laugh at yourself without it being self-deprecating. You can receive a compliment without deflecting it or fishing for more. You can disagree without needing to prove the other person wrong. All of these behaviors stem from being comfortable with who you are. This self-comfort also manifests in your relationship with your body. You've likely reached a point where you appreciate what your body can do rather than obsessing over how it looks. You're grateful for your health, rather than fixated on perceived flaws. You've made peace with aging rather than desperately fighting it. This acceptance radiates from you. People can sense when someone is at war with themselves versus at peace with themselves, and peace is infinitely more attractive than perfection. There's also a freedom that comes with this self-comfort. You're free to try new things without fear of looking foolish. You're free to change your mind without worrying about appearing inconsistent. You're free to say no without elaborate justifications. You're free to set boundaries without guilt. You're free to pursue your passions without seeking permission. This freedom is palpable, and it makes others feel more free just being around you. You give people permission to be themselves by example. Moreover, self-comfort breeds confidence, but not the aggressive, compensatory confidence of insecurity. I'm talking about the quiet confidence of someone who knows themselves. You know your strengths and don't need to constantly prove them. You know your weaknesses and don't try to hide them. You know your values and don't compromise them for acceptance. You know what you bring to any situation, and you trust that's enough. This kind of solid self-knowledge is incredibly attractive because it provides stability and authenticity. Think about the people you find most attractive, not just physically, but holistically. Chances are they're people who seem comfortable in themselves. They're not trying too hard. They're not performing. They're not seeking constant validation. They're just authentically being who they are. And that authenticity draws you in. That's exactly what you're offering to the world when you're comfortable in your own skin. This self-comfort also affects how you handle criticism and judgment. You've learned that other people's opinions are often more about them than about you. You've learned to consider feedback that's useful and discard feedback that's not. You've learned that you can't please everyone, and trying to do so is a waste of precious life energy. This resilience to judgment means you're less reactive, less defensive, less easily thrown off balance. You can hear criticism without crumbling and accept praise without inflating. This emotional steadiness is magnetic. Let's also acknowledge the role of self-compassion in your comfort with yourself. You've likely learned to treat yourself with the kindness you'd show a dear friend. When you make mistakes, you don't berate yourself endlessly. When you fail, you don't catastrophize. When you're struggling, you don't tell yourself you should be stronger. You've learned that being human means being imperfect, and you've extended yourself the grace to be human. This self-compassion softens you, makes you more approachable, more real, more attractive. And here's something crucial. Your comfort in your own skin gives others permission to be comfortable in theirs. In your presence, people feel less pressure to perform or impress. They can relax into authenticity because you're modeling it. They can admit their struggles because you don't pretend to be perfect. They can be themselves because you're not judging them. This gift of allowing others to be authentic is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. If you've reached a place where you're genuinely comfortable being yourself, where you no longer feel the need to prove your worth or seek constant validation, where you can move through the world with authentic ease, then you possess one of the most powerful forms of attractiveness there is. This isn't something that can be faked or manufactured. It's earned through years of self-discovery, self-acceptance, and choosing authenticity over approval, and it shines from you in ways that make you magnetically attractive to others. Sign 6. People open up to you about personal matters. Have you noticed that people tell you things? Not just surface-level conversation, but real things. Personal struggles, secret dreams, hidden fears, past traumas, current crises. If you find yourself regularly being the person others choose to confide in, This is a powerful indicator of your attractiveness on the deepest levels. When someone shares something vulnerable with you, they're making an implicit statement. I trust you. I believe you'll handle my vulnerability with care. I think you'll understand. I feel safe with you. None of these things are given lightly. Trust is earned. Safety is created. Understanding is demonstrated. If people consistently choose to open their hearts to you, it's because you've proven yourself worthy of that honor through your behavior, your energy, and your way of being. Let's explore why this happens more for mature women. First, you've accumulated experiences that create a foundation of genuine empathy. You're not just sympathizing, which means feeling pity for someone. You're empathizing, which means understanding their feelings because you've felt similar things yourself. When someone shares a struggle with you, you can often say, I understand, and truly mean it because you've navigated similar terrain. This authentic empathy is incredibly comforting and makes people feel less alone in their struggles. Second, you've likely developed the rare skill of holding space for others' emotions without trying to fix them. Many people, when confronted with someone else's pain or struggle, immediately jump to offering solutions or advice. But often, what people need most is simply to be heard. They need to express what they're feeling and have those feelings validated. Mature women often understand this intuitively. You can sit with someone's pain without trying to make it go away. You can listen to someone's story without immediately offering your own. You can validate someone's feelings without judgment. This capacity to simply be present with others' emotions is rare and deeply attractive. Third, you've learned discretion. People trust you with their secrets because they know you won't gossip about them. You've developed enough security in yourself that you don't need to bond with others by sharing others' private information. You understand the sacred trust that comes with someone's vulnerability, and you honor it. This trustworthiness makes you a safe harbor in a world where privacy is increasingly rare. There's also something about the non-judgmental quality that often comes with age and experience. You've made enough mistakes in your own life to have compassion for others' imperfections. You've struggled with enough of your own issues to understand that everyone is fighting battles others can't see. You've lived long enough to know that people are complex, that situations are rarely black and white, that judging others based on incomplete information is foolish. This non-judgmental acceptance creates a space where people feel they can reveal themselves fully without fear of condemnation. Moreover, your life experience gives you perspective that's comforting to others. When someone is in the midst of a crisis, it can feel like the end of the world to them. But you've been through crises. You've survived what felt insurmountable at the time. You can offer hope based on lived experience rather than empty platitudes. When you tell someone, this is hard, but you'll get through it, they believe you because you have the credibility of someone who has gotten through hard things. This hope-bearing quality is deeply attractive. Consider also the quality of your presence when people are sharing vulnerable things with you. You're probably not checking your phone or looking around the room or thinking about what you'll say next. You're fully present. You're maintaining eye contact. You're reading their body language and emotional state. You're picking up on what they're not saying as much as what they are saying. This quality of attention makes people feel truly seen and heard, which is one of the deepest human needs. Meeting that need creates powerful bonds of attraction. There's also likely a calm, grounded energy you bring to difficult conversations. When someone is in emotional turmoil, having someone who remains steady and calm is incredibly stabilizing. You're not panicking or becoming dramatic. You're not making their crisis about you. You're simply providing a stable, caring presence that helps them process what they're going through. This emotional steadiness is magnetic because it offers relief from the chaos. And let's acknowledge the wisdom you bring to these moments. Not the kind of wisdom that lectures or preaches, but the kind that offers perspective. You might share a relevant story from your own life. You might offer an insight that reframes their situation. You might ask a question that helps them see things differently. Your wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about helping others find their own answers. This facilitative approach is empowering and attractive. Think about the actual content of what people confide in you. Often it's things they're ashamed of or struggling with. Relationship problems, career doubts, family conflicts, health concerns, financial worries, past mistakes, current failures. These are not topics people discuss casually. They require a recipient who is mature enough to handle complexity, compassionate enough to withhold judgment, and trustworthy enough to maintain confidentiality. If you're the person people choose for these conversations, you've demonstrated all these qualities. There's also something about the encouragement and validation you offer. When someone shares a dream or aspiration with you, you don't immediately point out all the potential obstacles or reasons why it won't work. You celebrate their courage in having dreams. You acknowledge the validity of their desires. You might offer practical considerations, but you do so in a way that supports rather than discourages. This supportive energy makes people want to share their hopes and dreams with you. Moreover, people likely feel that you actually care about the answer when you ask, "How are you?" You're not just making polite small talk. You're genuinely interested in their well-being. And if they choose to respond honestly instead of with the automatic, "I'm fine," you have the emotional capacity and time to truly listen. This genuine interest in others' lives and well-being is increasingly rare, and people are drawn to it like water in a desert. If people regularly confide in you, if they share their vulnerabilities with you, if they trust you with their secrets and struggles and dreams, recognize this for the profound compliment it is. They're choosing you because something about your presence, your energy, your character makes them feel safe, understood, and valued. This is attraction at its deepest level. It's not about physical beauty or surface charm. It's about the kind of person you've become through years of living, learning, and growing. And that kind of attractiveness only deepens with time. Sign 7. You notice lingering glances and double takes. Now, let's talk about something that might make you uncomfortable to acknowledge. People look at you, not quick, passing glances, but real looks. You catch someone's eyes on you across a room, and when you meet their gaze, they might look away quickly, caught in the act of studying you. Or you notice someone do a subtle double take when you pass by. Or you feel eyes on you and turn to find someone watching you with interest or curiosity. If you've been dismissing these moments as coincidence or imagination, it's time to recognize them for what they are, evidence that you're capturing people's attention. Here's what many mature women don't realize. The male gaze, and indeed the human gaze in general, doesn't disappear as you age. It evolves. Yes, the overt, sometimes aggressive staring that younger women often experience tends to decrease, but it's replaced by something different and, in many ways, more meaningful. Looks of genuine appreciation, interest, and attraction that come from a place of respect rather than objectification. When someone looks at you with appreciation now, they're not just seeing youth or conventional beauty. They're seeing the whole package. They're seeing confidence in how you carry yourself. They're seeing the way your face reflects your character. They're seeing the elegance of movement that comes from being at home in your body. They're seeing the light in your eyes that comes from living a full life. They're seeing attractiveness that's about so much more than physical features. Moreover, people are drawn to look at things that are authentic and real in a world full of artifice. Your face tells a story. Your laugh lines aren't flaws. They're evidence of joy. Your expression isn't carefully curated for maximum appeal. It's genuine. Your style isn't copied from Instagram. It's authentically you. In an age of filters, Facetune, and constant image manipulation, your realness stands out. People look because you're refreshingly authentic. There's also the magnetic quality of confidence. When you move through space with assurance, when you're comfortable taking up room, when you're not apologizing for your existence or trying to make yourself smaller, people notice. Not in a negative way, but in an attracted, intrigued way. Confidence draws the eye. And the confidence of a mature woman who has earned her self-assurance through lived experience is particularly compelling. Let me address something important. Many women stop noticing or acknowledging when they're being looked at because society has told them that attractiveness belongs to youth. You've been conditioned to believe that past a certain age, you become invisible. And while it's true that you're no longer subjected to the kind of aggressive, objectifying attention that younger women often receive, this doesn't mean you're not being seen. It means you're being seen differently, often with more respect, more depth, and more genuine appreciation. The double takes you notice are particularly significant. A double take means something about you was surprising or striking enough to make someone look again. Maybe it was the way you styled an outfit in an unexpected way. Maybe it was the confident way you laughed loudly without caring who heard. Maybe it was the grace with which you moved. Maybe it was simply the compelling energy you radiate. Whatever it was, it caught their attention, enough to warrant a second look. That's not insignificant. Consider also the lingering glances. When someone's eyes rest on you for more than a moment, they're not just acknowledging your presence, they're actively appreciating something about you. Maybe they're trying to figure out what makes you so compelling. Maybe they're enjoying the positive energy you're emanating. Maybe they're attracted to you. Maybe they're inspired by you. Maybe they simply find looking at you pleasant. Whatever the reason, their attention is a form of appreciation, and appreciation is a form of attraction. And let's talk about the different types of looks you might receive. There are looks of admiration from younger women who see in you a version of aging they aspire to. There are looks of appreciation from peers who recognize a fellow traveler on the journey of life. There are looks of attraction from men who have evolved past valuing only youth and now appreciate depth, character, and authentic beauty. There are looks of curiosity from people trying to figure out what makes you so captivating. All of these are positive and all are responses to your attractiveness. There's something else happening here too. People are drawn to look at things that make them feel good. If your energy is positive, if your presence is calming, if your vibe is welcoming, people will naturally want to look at you because looking at you literally makes them feel better. You're like a visual comfort food, nourishing something in them just by being in their field of vision. You might also notice people observing how you interact with others. They watch how you speak to a waiter with genuine kindness. They notice how you listen attentively to someone who's speaking. They see how you handle a frustrating situation with grace. They observe the respect and care you show in your interactions, and they find this attractive. They're watching you because they're studying how you move through the world, and they find your way of being compelling. Now, I want to address potential discomfort with this topic. Some women feel that acknowledging they're being looked at is vain or conceited. But there's a difference between narcissistically needing to be the center of attention and simply acknowledging the reality that you're an attractive person who draws positive attention. You can recognize your attractiveness without being arrogant about it. In fact, denying it when it's clearly true is a form of false modesty that doesn't serve you. It's also important to recognize that not all looks are romantic or sexual in nature. Many of the appreciative glances you receive are simply humans recognizing and appreciating another human who is living well. They're enjoying the sight of someone who is comfortable in themselves, who moves with grace, who radiates positive energy. This is attraction in the broadest sense, being drawn to something that feels good to witness. If you find yourself noticing that people look at you, that eyes follow you, that you catch glances and double takes. Don't dismiss this. Don't tell yourself you're imagining it or that it doesn't mean anything. It means something. It means you're a compelling presence. It means there's something about you that captures attention and holds it. It means you're attractive in ways that go beyond conventional beauty, but absolutely include the way you've grown into your physical self. Own this. Let it boost your confidence. Let it remind you that you are seen, you are appreciated, and you are attractive. Sign 8. You're pursued for collaborations and partnerships. Here's an indicator of attractiveness that has nothing to do with romance, but everything to do with your value and magnetism. People want to work with you, whether in professional contexts, volunteer organizations, community projects, or creative endeavors. If people actively seek you out for collaborations and partnerships, this reveals an attractiveness that's based on respect, trust, and recognition of your capabilities. Think about it. When someone asks you to be part of a project, to join a committee, to collaborate on a venture, to partner in an endeavor, they're saying several things. They're saying they value what you bring to the table. They're saying they trust you to follow through. They're saying they believe you'll enhance whatever the project is. They're saying they want to associate themselves and their work with you. All of this is a form of professional and personal attraction. This kind of attraction is particularly meaningful for mature women because it's based entirely on demonstrated competence and character. No one is asking you to join their project because of how you look or how young you are. They're asking because of what you've proven you can do, the skills you've developed, the reputation you've built, the wisdom you bring, and the way you work with others. This is pure, undiluted recognition of your value as a complete human being. Let's break down why this happens more as women mature. First, you've had time to develop genuine expertise, whether it's professional skills honed over decades, creative abilities refined through practice, organizational capabilities proven through experience, or interpersonal skills developed through countless interactions. You've become genuinely good at things, and people who are good at things are always in demand. Excellence is attractive in any form. Second, you've likely developed a reputation for reliability. You do what you say you'll do. You meet deadlines. You follow through on commitments. You don't drop projects halfway through or let people down. In a world where flakiness is increasingly common, reliability is gold. People want to work with those they can count on, and your track record of dependability makes you an attractive collaborator. Third, you probably bring a stabilizing presence to collaborative efforts. You don't get caught up in drama or office politics. You don't let ego get in the way of the work. You can navigate disagreements without letting them become personal. You focus on the goal rather than on proving yourself. This mature, professional approach makes group efforts more pleasant and productive. People seek you out because working with you is both effective and enjoyable. There's also your problem-solving ability. You've encountered enough challenges in life to have developed strong critical thinking skills. When projects hit obstacles, you don't panic or give up. You calmly assess the situation, brainstorm solutions, and help move things forward. This capability to navigate difficulties makes you an invaluable partner in any endeavor. People want you on their team because they know you'll help them succeed, even when challenges arise. Consider also the network and resources you bring. By this stage in life, you've accumulated connections, knowledge, and resources that can benefit collaborative efforts. You know people who might help. You have experience with similar projects. You understand pitfalls to avoid. You can open doors that others can't. This accumulated social and intellectual capital makes you an attractive partner because you increase the likelihood of success. Moreover, you likely have strong communication skills that make collaboration easier. You can clearly articulate ideas. You listen actively to others' input. You can give and receive feedback without defensiveness. You can facilitate productive discussions. You can mediate when conflicts arise. These skills are essential for successful collaboration, and their presence in you makes others want to work with you. There's also the confidence you bring without arrogance. You're secure enough in your abilities that you don't need to dominate every discussion or prove you're the smartest person in the room. You can let others shine. You can acknowledge when someone has a better idea. You can admit when you don't know something. This ego-free collaboration is refreshing and makes group efforts more creative and less contentious. Let's not overlook the enthusiasm and positive energy you likely bring to projects you care about. You're not jaded or cynical. You genuinely get excited about good ideas and meaningful work. You bring optimism without being naive. You inspire others to do their best work. This positive, energizing presence is magnetic. People want to work with those who make the work more enjoyable and meaningful. And here's something important. The fact that you're being sought out for collaborations means people are willing to commit their time, energy, and reputation to working with you. That's a significant investment. They believe that investment will pay off because you'll contribute meaningfully and enhance the outcome. That's a powerful form of trust and attraction. The types of collaborations you're invited into also reveal something about how you're perceived. Are you asked to lead? That shows people trust your judgment and capability. Are you asked to mentor? That shows recognition of your wisdom and teaching ability. Are you asked to be a creative partner? That shows respect for your innovative thinking. Are you asked to be a troubleshooter? That shows confidence in your problem-solving skills. Each type of invitation reveals specific strengths that others find attractive and valuable. Let's also consider what it means when people want to associate themselves with you through partnership. Association is a form of social capital. When someone links their name and reputation with yours through collaboration, they're making a statement about how they see you. They're saying, I want to be connected to this person because that connection reflects well on them. Your attractiveness, in this sense, is about the positive reputation you've built and the respect you've earned. There's another dimension here, the fact that you likely have enough going on in your life that you're selective about what you commit to. You're not desperately seeking every opportunity. You can afford to be discerning. This selectivity actually makes you more attractive because it signals high value. When you do say yes to a collaboration, it means something. It means you genuinely believe in the project or respect the people involved. If people regularly seek you out for partnerships, collaborations, joint ventures, or group projects, recognize this as a profound indicator of your attractiveness as a competent, reliable, skilled, pleasant, and valuable human being. This is attraction based on substance. It's people saying, I want you in my corner. I want your input. I want your involvement. I value what you bring. That's not just professional respect. That's recognition of genuine worth and magnetism. Sign 9. You notice jealousy or competitiveness from others. This might be an uncomfortable sign to acknowledge, but it's important. If you notice jealousy or competitive behavior directed at you, this is actually evidence of your attractiveness. Now, I'm not suggesting you should feel good about others' jealousy or seek to provoke it. Jealousy is a painful emotion, and compassion for others requires that we not enjoy their suffering. However, recognizing that jealousy is often a response to perceived desirability or success can help you understand the dynamics at play and affirm your own value. Let's be clear about what I mean by jealousy here. You might notice someone who seems to compete with you unnecessarily, who diminishes your achievements, who can't seem to be genuinely happy for your successes, who copies your style or ideas, who makes subtle cutting remarks disguised as compliments, or who tries to undermine you in small ways. These behaviors, while unpleasant, are often rooted in that person's perception that you have something they want or are something they wish they could be. Think about it logically. People don't feel jealous of those they perceive as less fortunate or less attractive than themselves. Jealousy arises when we perceive that someone else has advantages we lack or qualities we desire. So if someone is displaying jealous behavior toward you, it's because they see you as having something valuable. This might be your confidence, your relationships, your opportunities, your appearance, your lifestyle, your abilities, or simply the ease with which you move through the world. For mature women, this can manifest in specific ways. You might notice younger women who seem threatened by you rather than seeing you as irrelevant due to your age. This is because you're disproving their unconscious belief that attractiveness and value diminish with age. Your vitality, confidence, and appeal challenge their worldview, and that can trigger defensive or competitive responses. You might notice peers who seem to need to one-up you in conversations. If you share a success, they immediately share a bigger one. If you mention a challenge, they describe a worse one. If you wear something attractive, they make a backhanded compliment like, "That's brave of you to wear that." These competitive behaviors stem from feeling threatened by you in some way. They're trying to reassert their own status or value by diminishing yours. You might notice that some people seem to gossip about you or spread negative information. While this is hurtful and wrong, it often comes from jealousy. People who feel secure in themselves don't need to tear others down. The impulse to damage someone's reputation typically comes from feeling overshadowed by them. If you're the subject of gossip, it's often because you're interesting enough, significant enough, or attractive enough to warrant attention. There's also the phenomenon of being copied. If you notice someone consistently imitating your style choices, your mannerisms, your ideas, or your approach to things, this is a form of flattery that reveals attraction, even if it feels uncomfortable. People imitate those they admire or envy. They're essentially saying, "I want what you have," or "I want to be more like you." This is recognition of your attractiveness and desirability. Now, let's talk about why mature women might trigger more jealousy than they realize. First, you may have achieved a level of self-acceptance and confidence that others aspire to but haven't reached. Seeing someone comfortable in their own skin can trigger insecurity in those who are still struggling with self-doubt. Your ease with yourself highlights their discomfort with themselves. Second, you might be living a life that others want but don't have the courage to pursue. Maybe you've prioritized differently than societal expectations. Maybe you've made unconventional choices that worked out well. Maybe you've maintained your vitality and interests, while others have let theirs atrophy. Your life choices can trigger jealousy in those who feel trapped in lives they're not fully satisfied with. Third, if you're receiving positive attention, whether romantic, professional, or social, others might resent this. They may have internalized the belief that such attention should go to younger people, and your receipt of it challenges their worldview. Their jealousy is essentially them grappling with having to revise their beliefs about age and attractiveness. Fourth, your success in any area can trigger jealousy. If you're thriving professionally, if you have strong relationships, if you're financially stable, if you're creatively fulfilled, if you're physically healthy, any of these can prompt jealous responses from those who are struggling in these areas. The comparison highlights their perceived deficiencies, and that's uncomfortable. It's important to understand that jealousy says more about the person feeling it than about you. Their jealousy is their problem to work through, not your responsibility to manage by making yourself smaller or less visible. You have every right to be fully yourself, to enjoy your success, to be attractive, and to receive positive attention without feeling guilty or obligated to dim your light so others feel more comfortable. That said, recognizing jealousy can help you navigate relationships with wisdom. You might choose to have compassion for someone struggling with these feelings, while also maintaining boundaries. You might recognize that their competitive or undermining behavior isn't really about you personally, but about their own insecurities. You might choose to limit your sharing with people who consistently respond with jealousy rather than genuine happiness for you. Here's the key insight. The presence of jealousy in your life, while potentially uncomfortable, is actually confirmation that you possess desirable qualities. People don't envy mediocrity or invisibility. They envy attractiveness, success, happiness, and ease. So while I'm not suggesting you should seek jealousy or feel pleased by others' discomfort, you can recognize it as an indicator that you're doing something right, that you possess qualities others value, and that you're more attractive and successful than you might be giving yourself credit for. If you notice competitive behavior, backhanded compliments, imitation, gossip, or other signs of jealousy directed toward you, don't internalize it as something wrong with you. Instead, recognize it as confirmation of your value and attractiveness. Then, with compassion and wisdom, navigate these dynamics in ways that honor both your worth and others' humanity. You can be confident in your attractiveness without being arrogant about it, and you can maintain your boundaries without being cruel to those who struggle with jealousy. Sign 10. You're content with yourself. While remaining open to connection, here's perhaps the most profound sign of all, and it's beautifully paradoxical. You're genuinely content with your life as it is, yet you remain open to new connections, experiences, and possibilities. You're not desperately seeking completion through others, but you're not closed off either. You're whole unto yourself, while still appreciating the richness that others bring to your life. This balance, this simultaneous contentment and openness is incredibly attractive because it comes from a place of emotional maturity that most people spend a lifetime trying to reach. Let me explain why this matters so much. Think about the energy of someone who is desperately lonely, who needs a partner to feel complete, who requires constant validation from others to feel worthwhile. This neediness, while understandable and human, pushes people away. It's heavy, it's demanding, it asks others to fill voids they can't possibly fill. Being around this energy is exhausting because you can feel the desperation and the unspoken pressure to make this person feel okay about themselves. Now contrast this with someone who is content in their own company. They enjoy solitude, they have interests, passions, and pursuits that fulfill them. They have a life they genuinely like. They don't need someone else to make them happy. They're already happy. But here's the key. They're also open to sharing their happiness with others. They recognize that while they don't need others to be complete, life is richer with meaningful connections. This balance of independence and openness is magnetic because it offers connection without pressure, intimacy without neediness, togetherness without loss of self. As a mature woman, you've likely arrived at this place through a journey. Maybe you've experienced the loss of important relationships through death, divorce, or distance. Maybe you've gone through periods of loneliness that forced you to develop a rich inner life. Maybe you've deliberately worked on being comfortable with yourself. Whatever the path, you've learned that you're okay on your own. This is foundational. It means you relate to others from a place of choice rather than desperation, from desire rather than need. This contentment shows in how you approach relationships of all kinds. You're not trying to extract value from everyone you meet. You're not constantly assessing whether someone can give you what you need. You're not manipulating or strategizing to secure attention and affection. Instead, you're simply being yourself and allowing connections to develop naturally if mutual interest and compatibility exist. This authentic, pressure-free approach to relating is incredibly attractive because it allows others to relax and be themselves too. Your contentment also means you have strong boundaries. You know what you're willing to accept and what you're not. You're clear about your values and your deal breakers. But here's the beauty. These boundaries come from self-respect rather than defensiveness. You're not building walls to keep everyone out. You're creating healthy parameters that allow the right people in. And because you're content with yourself, you can enforce these boundaries without guilt or fear. If someone can't respect your boundaries, you're okay with letting them go. This boundary strength is attractive because it signals self-respect and emotional health. At the same time, you remain open. You haven't become cynical or closed-hearted. You haven't decided that all people are disappointing or that new relationships aren't worth the risk. Despite any past hurts or disappointments, you've maintained your capacity to be vulnerable, to be curious, to be interested in others. You still believe in human connection. You still see the potential for beauty in new relationships. This openness, when combined with your contentment, creates a powerful duality. You're anchored in yourself, but still reaching toward others. This balance also affects how you handle rejection and disappointment in relationships. Because you're content with yourself, rejection doesn't devastate you. It's disappointing, perhaps, but it doesn't shake your fundamental sense of self-worth. Someone not being interested in you doesn't make you unworthy. It simply means that particular connection wasn't meant to be. This resilience is attractive because it means you're not fragile, not going to fall apart if someone doesn't reciprocate your interest. People feel safer connecting with those who won't crumble if things don't work out. Your contentment also means you're not settling. You're not so desperate for connection that you'll accept breadcrumbs or half-hearted interest. You're not willing to compromise your values or tolerate disrespect just to avoid being alone. You know that being happily single is better than being unhappily partnered. This selective approach might mean you have fewer but higher quality relationships. And quality over quantity is always more attractive. Let's talk about the energy this creates. Contentment produces a calm, grounded energy. You're not anxious or grasping. You're not constantly scanning your environment for potential connections or validation. You're simply present and engaged with your life. This centered energy is like a beacon. People are naturally drawn to those who seem at peace with themselves because that peace is contagious. Being around you makes others feel more peaceful too. Your openness, meanwhile, produces warmth and accessibility. You're approachable. People don't feel like they need to impress you or perform for you. They sense that you're genuinely interested in them as people, not as potential sources of validation or completion. This authentic interest in others for their own sake is rare and deeply attractive. It makes people want to be around you, to get to know you, to be seen by someone who sees clearly and kindly. This combination also makes you adaptable. You're content enough that you don't need specific outcomes, but open enough that you can embrace opportunities when they arise. If a friendship deepens, wonderful. If it doesn't, that's okay too. If romance develops, you're open to it. If it doesn't, you're still happy. This flexibility comes from security, and security is endlessly attractive. Moreover, your contentment means you bring value to relationships rather than extracting value. You're not entering connections from a place of deficit, needing others to fill your emptiness. You're entering from a place of abundance, able to genuinely give, share, support, and enrich others' lives. Relationships based on mutual enrichment rather than mutual neediness are healthier and more satisfying for everyone involved. Let's also acknowledge the peace this brings to your life. You're not on a constant roller coaster of hope and disappointment based on others' responses to you. You're not measuring your worth by your relationship status or the amount of attention you receive. You're simply living your life, enjoying your own company, pursuing your interests, and welcoming meaningful connections when they arise. This peace is palpable, and it's incredibly attractive in a world where most people are in various states of anxiety and discontent. If you've reached this place of being content with yourself, while remaining open to connection, you've achieved something truly special. You found the balance that many people seek their entire lives. You're neither desperate nor closed off. You're neither clingy nor avoidant. You're simply whole, happy, and open. This is perhaps the most attractive state a human being can achieve because it comes from deep internal work and genuine self-acceptance. It's not something that can be faked or manufactured. It's earned through years of learning to be good company for yourself while still valuing the companionship of others. And it makes you magnetically attractive in the deepest, most meaningful ways possible. So there you have it. 10 powerful signs that you're more attractive than you think as a mature woman. Let's quickly recap what we've covered, because each of these signs is worth remembering and looking for in your own life. First, people genuinely seek your company and opinion. They want you around and they value what you think. Second, you receive more genuine smiles and warm greetings. People light up when they see you. Third, younger people seek your friendship and mentorship. They're drawn to your wisdom and authenticity. Fourth, you receive compliments on your energy and presence. People comment on how you make them feel. Fifth, you're comfortable in your own skin. You've stopped performing and started just being yourself. Sixth, people open up to you about personal matters. They trust you with their vulnerabilities. Seventh, you notice lingering glances and double takes. People are visually drawn to you. Eighth, you're pursued for collaborations and partnerships. Others want to work with you and associate with you. Ninth, you notice jealousy or competitiveness from others. Your attractiveness triggers envy. And 10th, you're content with yourself while remaining open to connection. You've achieved the beautiful balance of wholeness and openness. If even a few of these signs resonate with your experience, it's time to adjust how you see yourself. You are attractive, not in the narrow, youth-obsessed way that magazines and media would define it, but in the deeper, more meaningful ways that actually matter in real life and real relationships. Your attractiveness comes from who you've become, from the character you've developed, from the wisdom you've accumulated, from the authenticity you've earned, from the confidence you've built, and from the peace you've made with yourself. Society has sold you a lie that attractiveness diminishes with age. But the truth is that while one type of conventional physical attractiveness might change, it's replaced by something far more powerful: the attractiveness of a complete, evolved, authentic human being. You possess a magnetism that's based on substance rather than surface, on character rather than compliance with beauty standards, on wisdom rather than youth, on authenticity rather than performance. And this kind of attractiveness doesn't fade. It deepens. It becomes more refined. It becomes more powerful. I want you to start noticing these signs in your own life. Pay attention when people seek you out. Notice when faces light up at seeing you. Recognize when younger people want your guidance. Accept compliments on your energy graciously. Celebrate your comfort in your own skin. Honor the trust people place in you with their vulnerabilities. Acknowledge when people look at you with appreciation. Value the partnerships you're invited into. Understand jealousy for what it reveals, and appreciate the beautiful balance you've achieved between contentment and openness. But beyond just noticing, I want you to own it. Own your attractiveness, not with arrogance or conceit, but with quiet confidence. You've earned this. You've lived, loved, learned, struggled, survived, and thrived. You've grown into a person of depth, substance, wisdom, and authentic beauty. You deserve to recognize and celebrate this about yourself. You deserve to move through the world knowing your worth. You deserve to feel attractive because you are attractive in all the ways that truly matter. And here's the final truth I want to leave you with. Recognizing your own attractiveness isn't vanity, it's clarity. It's seeing yourself accurately rather than through the distorted lens of age bias and impossible beauty standards. When you recognize your attractiveness, you show up differently in the world. You take up space without apology. You accept compliments graciously. You pursue opportunities confidently. You set boundaries firmly. You choose quality relationships. You honor yourself. And all of this makes you even more attractive. Before you go, I want to ask you to do something important. First, if this video resonated with you, if it helped you see yourself differently, if it gave you even a moment of recognition that you're more attractive than you've been giving yourself credit for, please hit that like button. Your like helps YouTube show this message to more women who need to hear it. And I truly believe every mature woman deserves to know her own worth and attractiveness. Second, I really want to hear from you in the comments. Which sign resonated most with your experience? Was there a particular moment when you realized your own attractiveness? What would you add to this list? Share your wisdom and your story. Your comment might be exactly what another woman needs to read today. Let's build a community where we celebrate each other's worth and remind each other of our attractiveness and power. Third, please share this video. You know someone who needs this message. Maybe it's your sister, your mother, your best friend, your colleague, or your daughter who's watching you navigate aging and needs to see a positive model. Share this video with them. Send it in a text with a note saying, "This made me think of you," or "I thought you might appreciate this." Together we can create a revolution where mature women recognize and own their attractiveness instead of internalizing harmful messages about aging. Fourth, if you haven't already, please subscribe to The Heart Code and hit that notification bell. We create content every week about attraction, relationships, personal power, and the journey of becoming more fully yourself as a woman. By subscribing, you'll never miss insights that could transform how you see yourself and navigate your relationships. We're building a community of empowered women, and your presence makes it stronger. And finally, if you want to support this channel in a deeper way, if you want to help us continue creating content that empowers and uplifts mature women, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution directly supports our ability to research, create, and share these messages. It's your way of saying this matters. Keep doing this. And I can't tell you how much that means to us and to the community we're building together. Remember, you are not past your prime. You are in a different kind of prime, one that's based on substance rather than surface, on character rather than conventional beauty, on authenticity rather than performance. You are attractive, you are valuable, you are worthy, and you deserve to know it, own it, and move through the world with the confidence that comes from recognizing your own worth. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for being willing to see yourself differently. Until next time, remember, you are more attractive than you think, and it's time you started believing it. I'll see you in the next video.